The significant contribution of 17.12% by the ICT sector to our GDP in the second quarter of 2021 is another example on the important impact of the digital economy to the overall economy.
President Buhari inaugurates Council on E-Government and Digital Economy, aimed at fast-tracking the nation's economy.
The Muslim Ummah has mixed feelings, mixed views and thoughts about democracy in a multi-religious society. And some have a big problem even with the idea of a multi-religious or a pluralistic society.
Activities marking the 23rd Democracy Day celebration commence.
Government is also investing through the provision of an expansion of the transmission infrastructure.
Federal government flags up expansion of the Kianji Dam, targets 1,000 megawatts generation capacity. Also tonight,
the urgent need for every media organization to set up a fact-checking desk can therefore not be overstressed.
Fact-checking as panacea to curbing fake news in focus as Nigeria marks World Press Freedom Day. Good evening and thanks for joining us on NTA Network News. I'm Elizabeth Omori. Adeola Komi Akere joins us from Lagos and Obey Otobo Apresai from our Benin studio. Thank you so much for joining us. And remember, you can follow this news broadcast live on our website, nta.ng/live, and all our social media platforms displayed on the screen for updates. Presidential Council on E-Government and Digital Economy has been inaugurated by President Muhammadu Buhari. This is part of efforts by his administration to leverage digital technologies towards transforming critical sectors of Nigeria's economy. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has details.
The Presidential Council on E-Government and Digital Economy, comprising 6 governors representing the geopolitical zones of the country, 5 members of the Federal Executive Council and other critical stakeholders, is to be chaired on behalf of the President by the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Ali Ibrahim Pantemi.
And this is part of our plan in order to ensure that by 2030, Nigeria achieves paperless governance, and we are on track to deliver this. And I want to use the opportunity to appreciate COECA, that is Korea International Cooperation Agency. They have planned to support our government with a minimum of 30 million USD towards achieving e-governance in Nigeria.
The council, President Buhari said, is put in place to provide the oversight that will bring about a veritable structure for accelerating the unprecedented achievements recorded so far in Nigeria's digital economy and in the implementation of e-government in the country. Following the launch of the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy in 2019, the nation's information and communications technology has already been adjudged as the fastest growing sector in the country, contributing significantly to the economy.
The sector's 14.7% double-digit growth rate was instrumental in supporting our country to exit the recession triggered by the coronavirus pandemic. The significant contribution of 17.12% by the ICT sector to our GDP in the second quarter of 2021 is another example on the important impact of the digital economy to the overall economy.
In addition to the great strides in the development of Nigeria's digital economy and the implementation of e-government as well as government digital services, strategic partnerships have also been fostered with the Republic of Korea. As a result, several projects were launched, including the development of a national e-government master plan and the signing of the second phase of the e-government projects towards achieving digital governance in Nigeria 2020 to 2026.
The implementation of these projects will further strengthen the capacity of government to develop, adopt, and deploy digital technologies that can make government more efficient and transparent. It will also improve our global standing in the Ease of Doing Business Index.
The president therefore urged members to see their inclusion in the council as a national assignment by bringing their wealth of experience to bear in the task of enhancing digital transformation of Nigeria.
And I look forward to the synergy and very impactful contributions from every member of this very strategic council. I am confident that you all have the capacity and willingness to make this council a success.
High-level priority, President Buhari emphasized, is placed on the council by the federal government. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Democratic governance in a multi-religious society was the focus at a public lecture celebrating Nigeria's 23 years of democracy. Usman Aliu tells us more.
The conference hall of the National Mosque hosts diverse people for this special lecture for this year's Democracy Day celebration. Key elements of the lecture, Islam, democracy and governance, were tabled side by side by the guest speaker.
Muslim community in Nigeria, the Muslim Ummah has mixed feelings, mixed views and thoughts about democracy in a multi-religious society. Some have a big problem even with the idea of a multi-religious or a pluralistic society.
Considering the election season heralding another transition, messages including words from President Muhammadu Buhari, the Sultan of Sokoto, and other speakers were categorical to religious leaders on peace and harmony.
We use our religions, both Islam and Christianity, to ensure that we understand each other, we respect each other, and we live in peace.
Religion therefore plays very significant role by complementing democratic governance in a multi-religious setting such as we have in Nigeria.
Democracy as a system of government based on unity, based on justice, based on commitment, and based on patriotism of all Nigerians is something that all of us are striving for, and is what the government of President Muhammadu Buhari is striving for.
There were special prayers for Nigeria's stability and good governance. Usman Aliu, NTA News.
Still on the celebration, the Imam of Abuja National Mosque has called for inclusiveness, good governance and people-oriented policies as Nigeria celebrates 23 years of unbroken democratic journey. Abdullahi Ajia reports that this was the thrust of his special Jumat sermon as part of activities lined up for this year's celebration.
In an atmosphere of solemnity on the occasion of the special Jumat prayers with huge attendance from across social levels of the Muslim Ummah, the Imam's sermon, which centers on Islam and democracy, reminded leaders of an ideal situation that will guarantee peaceful coexistence, religious harmony and economic prosperity for all citizens as entrenched by democratic norms and values which Islam supports.
To feel the dividend of democracy, we are still feeling that we have a long way to go. So we hope, as primaries have just been concluded, that the next government will build upon the successes of the present government and as well correct the areas where Nigerians feel there is need to readdress it.
The Imam led the worshippers on a special invocation of Allah's benevolent mercy for growth and development of the country, including security of lives and property, as well as guidance for leaders and followers alike. Abdullahi Hajj, NTA News.
Let's shift our attention to power generation. An expansion work has been flagged off at the 760 megawatts Kanji hydroelectric dam in Niger State. The federal government is targeting additional 220 megawatts to bring the generation capacity of the dam to about 1,000 megawatts of electricity. Joshua Ujito reports.
Kanji Hydro Dam, one of Nigeria's biggest and oldest dam infrastructure, generating 760 megawatts of electricity to the national grid. The growing energy demand in the country prompts its upgrade and expansion to wrap up generation and boost supply. The expansion work is to enable the dam generate additional 220 megawatts of electricity, bringing the total generation capacity of the dam to 980 megawatts.
With these and other interventions coming in to the power sector, it's just a matter of time. We have to have patience. We are doing a lot. The government is doing a lot in terms of policy, and the government is also investing through the provision of an expansion of the transmission infrastructure, which will, and it's unprecedented.
With the 220 megawatt that will be added to the grid, it will definitely have significant impact on the economy of the nation. We are happy. We congratulate the Minister of Power, for piloting this, with the guidance of the ministry and all the other stakeholders, so that we can deliver power to Nigeria.
With the current electricity generation hovering around 5,000 megawatts, which the Minister of Power, Abubakar Aliyu, describes as inadequate for a country of more than 200 million people. Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
Into food security, Nigerian farmers have pledged to boost their production this year to shield the country from food crisis as a result of the Russian-Ukraine war. This is coming as countries are restricting export of food as scarcity of grains intensifies. Musa Aliyu has more.
Nigeria has been experiencing steady growth in food production in the past 7 years, with local production up above the local demand of food items mostly consumed by citizens. In spite of this, rice farmers believe there is the need to produce more to meet the increasing demand.
To see how we can put heads together and quickly come up with solutions to see how best we can add more value in the area of rice production in Nigeria, so that we'll be able to obtain more and more yield from our hectareages that we cultivate rice,
so that they can be example to other farmers in their location.
And here, farmers are undergoing capacity building on good agronomic practices for rice production, courtesy of partnership between the farmers and Syngenta, a global crop protection farm.
Part of the agreement is to train them to improve their capacity and competency in terms of the good agronomic practice that is needed for them to boost their rice production. Increasing yield by 30% is our vision for Nigeria, and this will go in a long way in settling and bringing up our level of food security.
It is expected that at the end of the training, farmers' output to increase by nothing less than 30% per hectare. In Abuja, Musa Aliyu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, ECOWAS Parliament is debating options for agricultural practices to ensure food security and sustainable environment. Onenge Fineface reports that this is informed by global threats to food security caused by climate change and the crisis in Ukraine.
Forbidding these transhumans.
Debate at plenary focused on the resilience of food systems, food and nutrition security, agricultural production and competitiveness, adaptation to climate change and agroecology, as well as environment, forests, biodiversity conservation, among others.
ECOWAS should improve access of farmers to fertilizers, and then granting them subsidies with support from our development partners and emphasizing farmers especially those who don't have the means.
Members of Parliament considered the need for member states to lift restrictions on the free movement of food within the community to allow for shared supply, considering current challenges posed by the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Members also debated the prospects of urgently mobilizing internal financial resources to assist people affected by food crisis within the framework of social protection net projects, including cash transfers, food for work, among others. In Abuja, NTA Fine Face, NTA News.
Outbreak of cerebrospinal meningitis claims 65 lives in Jigawa State. Details after this break. To stay with us. You're still watching the network news on NTA. Jigawa State government has confirmed the outbreak of cerebrospinal meningitis, claiming 65 lives in the state. The State Ministry of Health, however, says the situation is now under control. Howard Mohammed Kazari reports.
Cerebrospinal meningitis is a disease associated with hot weather condition affecting the tissue of the brain and spinal cord, with severe headache and fever leading to death. Confirming the outbreak, the state chief epidemiologist, Dr. Ismaila Mahmoud, says over 275 cases were reported in 14 out of the 27 local government areas.
We used to have an outbreak of meningitis almost every year. Not that heavy outbreak, but at least a sporadic outbreak. Sometimes the heavy outbreak comes in after 5 to 10 years. That is when the immunity that was impacted upon the individuals started to wane up.
The medical personnel advise people to avoid sleeping in congested rooms and report cases of outbreak in good time. Meanwhile, rains have set in many parts of Jigawa, bringing down the fear over the meningitis infection. This is as the state government step up enlightenment and vaccination exercise. From Duse, Awal Muhammad Kazouri, NTA News.
And away from health now, it is possible for the country to provide opportunities now, as done in the past, for all the young people for a secured future. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo said this while addressing his supporters at the Progressives Congress Secretariat in Abuja. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
Everyone wants a Nigeria where young people have jobs. We all want a Nigeria that is safe and secure. We want a Nigeria that is run transparently and honestly. We want a Nigeria where there is a future, where people can dream of a real future.
The Vice President describes the commitment of these supporters during the campaign for a new Nigeria as a movement which must be kept alive.
For Democrats, there's only one process. Whether that process is good or bad, there's only one process. And we have gone through that process. And in that process, a winner has been adjudged. But that does not kill the dream of a great future. It does not. We will support our party, we'll support the flag bearer of our party, and do everything we can. But we must have at the back of our minds and even front and center of our thoughts that this, what you have started, what all of you have started in the various movements coming into one, is the seed that will birth a new country. You have seen the new direction.
Vice President Osinbajo says the task now is to work for the success of the party and the elected standard bearer in the 2023 presidential election. In Abuja, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Still talking politics, Senator Godswill Akpabio has emerged the All Progressives Congress standard bearer for Akwa Ibom Northwest Senatorial District. The immediate past Minister of Niger Delta Affairs polled 478 votes to emerge victorious over other contenders, former DIG Udom Ebodom and Joseph Akpan, who scored 3 and 1 votes respectively. Correspondent Clement Barikwi reports.
Akwa Ibom Northwest Senatorial District comprises of 108 wards drawn from 10 local government areas. Of the 540 delegates, 512 were accredited, and at the end of voting, Senator Akpabio emerged winner. Senator Akpabio thanked delegates and the people of Akwa Ibom Northwest Senatorial District for the confidence reposed in him and promised to render quality service to his people if elected.
And because there was no senator ever that did the kind of empowerment program I did.
The Akwa Ibom Northwest Senatorial District is made up of Ika, Ikodekpene, Esenidim, Etimepo, Ikono, Abak, Ini, Oroganam, Oburakara, and Ukanafon local government areas. From Ikodekpene, Clement Barakui, NTA News.
Senator Godswill Akpabio emerged victorious after stepping down for the APC presidential candidate for the 2023 general elections. Meanwhile, presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, has been issued a certificate of return. Governorship and National Assembly candidates also got their certificates. David Ire reports.
Attention is now shifting from battle for party ticket to general campaign in order to secure the mandate of the people. The party is conscious of this and has therefore designed a blueprint to sell the character of the presidential candidate to Nigerians.
Among all the presidential aspirants today, candidates today, is the best. In terms of character in his private life, the competence, name it.
The task will be challenging.
Whenever I hear of no structure, my answer to it is simple. 100 million Nigerians that live under poverty will be the structure. The old ones that are dying or DO, gratuity, pension will be the structure.
This party that represents hope now for Nigeria.
The Nigerian Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress also declared their support for the presidential candidate. In Abuja, David Ire, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the All Progressives Congress Presidential Support Committee is engaging stakeholders to ensure optimum performance in next year's general elections. The emergence of APC's presidential candidate Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the group says, will make their work easy. Saliu Wanara reports.
This is a strategic political engagement to bolster the political platform and the high level of sportsmanship being showcased by aspirants at the end of the just concluded special convention and presidential primary. The group says it's worthy of commendation.
Has shown that our democracy is really growing. Good omen for us, good omen for this Nigeria. And we are also setting an example for the international community. The project is all our own, and we are going to abide by our constitution, APC constitution, and Nigeria's constitution.
The Presidential Support Committee is also conscious of the need to increase synergy among party members for future electoral victory in Abuja. Saliu Wanara, NTA News.
This is the network news on NTA. Time now to head to Lagos, where Adeola is standing by with some reports for us. Hello, Adeola.
Hello, Elizabeth. Eligible voters in their numbers thronged the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC Registration Center at Tafawa Balewa Square to register for their permanent voter cards ahead of the 2023 general elections. The peaceful process of registration later turned rowdy as a result of impatience from irate youth. Sabolade Salami reports.
Here at the Tafawa Balewa Square in Lagos, there are 30 registration points manned by 2 INEC officials to hasten the process of data collection from persons who either are registering for the first time or making requests for transfer of their permanent voter cards. The umpire, having envisaged what the turnout might look like, engaged the services of security personnel and private guards to manage the crowd towards a peaceful exercise. The style adopted by INEC and security agencies on ground to manage the crowd was manipulated as irate youths who could no longer maintain the queue brought down the barriers used to prevent them from gaining access to the officials. The disruption stalled the process for a while, as security personnel and INEC officials on ground tried to appeal to the youth to maintain sanity and orderliness with a view to achieve their aim of participating in the forthcoming general elections.
We have to get to that. You don't need to be here. And then those that are here to read the first time, if you give us the chance, we will tell you how you can start participating. And then you say, don't have to come and question. Is here. In order.
INEC, in collaboration with relevant stakeholders, kicked off the Youth Vote Counts campaign since Monday to encourage eligible voters have access to their PVC ahead of the 2023 general elections. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
Now away from the PVC registration in Lagos, the Weights and Measures Department of the Federal Ministry of Trade, Investment and Industry has carried out an assessment of facilities at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, while giving a pass mark to the instrument of measurement. The need for recalibration is emphasized. Samuel Johnson reports.
Following complaints by some passengers among the flying public that luggage are overweight, which often attracts extra cost, the Minister of Trade, Investment and Industry, Otunbani Adebayo, directed investigation and inspection. This informs the visit by officials of the Weights and Measures Department led by the director in charge.
We have received complaints from members of the public that whenever they are traveling, they get to the airport, they weigh their luggage, and they ask them to come and pay for excess luggage. Besides, they are being short-changed. Safety is involved because by the time you come here and weigh your luggage, there is a capacity an aircraft should take.
While assuring the passengers, he emphasized the need for recalibration of the weights and measures instruments, adding that the authenticating seal of the department is now on the certified facilities.
From what we have seen so far, they are okay within the tolerable level. But what we are going to advise fans is that there are some, because we look at the knife edges of some of the machine, one will read 19.5, another one will read 19.2, 19.6, or like that. We are advising them to make sure that they call calibrators to come and recalibrate the weighing equipment.
The zonal coordinator of Weights and Measures Department, Abdul Karim Usman, was part of the team. In Lagos, Samuel Johnson, NTA News.
We're done from Lagos, so do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. The news will continue after this break, so stay with us.
Thanks for staying with us. An Ondo State High Court sitting in Akure has sentenced to death by hanging 3 killers of Olufunke Olakunrin, daughter of Afenifere leader Paruben Fashoranti. Kayode Olorundare reports that the trial judge, Justice Williams Olamide, discharged and acquitted the 4th accused, Awala Abubakar, who is the public relations officer of Miyetti Allah.
Delivering judgment on 9-count charge of murder case bordering on conspiracy to kidnap, armed robbery, aiding and abetting. The trial judge, Justice Williams Olamide, sentenced 3 of the accused persons to death by hanging.
They were fixed to the scene of the crime, and cogent evidence were given by persons who were with them in the forest for 7 days. And he identified them not only before the police, he also identified them before the court.
We are going to study the judgment of the court from the A part to the date of it in determining whether perhaps there could be a grant for appeal.
Late Olufunke Olakunrin was killed on July 12, 2019 along Ore-Shagamu Highway while traveling to Lagos from Akure. Kayode Olorundare, NTA News.
In a bit of security, Nigerian army has been asked again to be more brutal, merciless and offensive in dealing with criminal elements in the country. This place coming on the heels of emerging security threats. Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya said Nigerian Army will not compromise the sanctity of the country. Sulaiman Rigachukun reports.
In fulfillment of its assigned responsibility of defending the territorial integrity of Nigeria, using lethal force, Nigerian Army trained infantry army personnel the advanced techniques of counter-terrorism and counter-insurgency operations, tagged Operation Restore Hope. The second and final phase of the exercise exposed the special forces to counter-ambush drill, long-distance and tactical shooting demonstration, assault on enemy, defensive position, among other tactics of warfare.
You have seen the skill and competencies, you have seen the marksmanship, where somebody at 500 meters at one shot can pick a target. And that's what we are going to deploy to the field for all these criminals, for all these terrorists, these bandits, the kidnappers. And we're on for them.
The training exercise provided an opportunity for the Army Chief to address participants on the need to brace up for challenges militating against the corporate existence of the country. He assured Nigerians of the military's resolve to secure the nation and deal decisively with all forms of criminality. Sulaiman Rigachukun, NTA News.
Still talking security, police personnel attached to the Federal Inland Revenue Service have tracked and arrested a scammer who is alleged to have collected more than 30 million naira from unsuspecting members of the public with a promise to secure employment at the FIRS. Management of the FIRS wished to warn other scammers to desist from such act, as the law will surely catch up with them. Members of the public are also to beware of scammers or others involved in job racketeering, as employment opportunities are often advertised following established guidelines. Now, but quacks and mischief makers are taking advantage of advances in cyberspace to disseminate misinformation. Stakeholders have re-echoed the need for the public and institutions to ensure strict verification of sources of information before acting on them. This was at an institutional interaction workshop on World Press Freedom Day held by the Ministry of Information and Culture.
Advance in the digital world may have brought a lot of good, but surveillance and hacking by mischief makers are compromising accessibility of genuine information. At this interaction, the Ministry of Information and Culture identifies fact-checking as a way out.
Anyone can hide behind their electronic gadget to send unverified and mostly fake news. The urgent need for every media organization to set up a fact-checking desk can therefore not be overstressed.
The digital era has also put media workers and their sources at greater risk of being targeted, harassed, and attacked. For instance, due to data retention, spyware, and digital surveillance.
Africa's largest television network, NTA, wants the public not to be carried away by the speed of the information, but verify if the source is genuine.
We have the responsibility of ensuring that that information that goes out is true or not. So we're constantly verifying, cross-checking to give people the correct version of that information.
The 2022 World Press Freedom Day has the theme, Journalism Under Digital Siege. In Abuja, Joseph Utsen, NTA News.
Report just reaching us says second airlift of Nigeria's 2022 intended pilgrims have commenced in Abuja, with Nasarawa State pilgrims on board Max Air to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Yusuf Umar reports that the first flight from Abuja had over 500 pilgrims out of about 700 allocated seats by NACON to Nasarawa State. For now, the Abuja International Airport is expected to cater for 4 states in the north central, which includes Benue, Kogi, Nasarawa, and the FCT. Second flight from Abuja International Airport by Flynas Airline is expected to fly Abuja intending pilgrims soon. NACON Chairman Zikrullah Hassan was also at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport to ensure a hitch-free exercise. This is the first Hajj operation conducted by the present NACON management since their inauguration due to COVID-19 pandemic. President Muhammad Buhari has congratulated Nigeria's former ambassador and permanent representative to the United Nations, Chief Arthur Mbanefo, on his 92nd birthday. President Buhari, in a statement, acknowledged the contributions of one of the early chartered accountants in the development of both private and public sectors in Nigeria, notably serving as Pro-Chancellor for Obafemi Awolowo University, University of Lagos and Ahmadu Bello University. The President affirms that the elder statesman's commitment to probity, excellence and charity remains legendary, excelling in every responsibility assigned, including Chairman of the Committee on State Creation, which led to the creation of 6 new states in 1996. President Buhari prayed for good health, strength and peace for Chief Mbanefo and his family. Let's go to Benin, and Agatha will be, Obehi will be our guide. Hello.
Elizabeth, welcome to Benin. Youth Initiative for Advocacy, Growth and Advancement, YEGA, Africa, is urging the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to take a critical look at some of the electoral processes leading to the June 18 governorship election in Ekiti State. Adugbejo Jigba reports that the pre-election briefing is part of the organization's efforts to ensure a smooth conduct of the election.
YEGA Africa says its report on the forthcoming governorship election in Ekiti State is coming after the recently conducted mock election and pre-election visitation to some INEC facilities for the election. They drew INEC's attention to some outcome that may likely cause adverse effect to the novel innovation being put in place for the forthcoming election. YEGA submits that if proactive steps are taken, these problems can be nipped in the bud.
We expect the Commission to improve its communication on the new polling units to inspire voter confidence in the process.
The observations that we're putting forward is to be able to ensure that INEC and citizens and other stakeholders understand the consequences in terms of vote buying, voter inducement. At the interactive session, suggestions were made as to how some of the identified lapses can be surmounted. YEGA Africa vehemently opposes any sort of voter bribery because it undermines the democratic process. Calls on all registered voters in Ekiti State who have not collected their permanent voter card PVC to quickly do so. From Ado Ekiti, Adugbeji Ojegba, NTA News.
Propelled by the Owo terror attack, key players in Akure, Ondo State have initiated a strategic security meeting in Akure. The resolve is to push to the front burner the campaign for stronger cooperation with security agents and involvement of all Nigerians in the protection of lives and properties. Doris Olumoko reports.
It is almost 1 week since the Owo terror attack, but the people of Ondo State are still devastated. The reality here is that, like violence, insecurity breeds no good, and numerous sensitizations have always placed premium on the collective responsibility of the people towards stimulating a secured environment for development to thrive. From the simple task of knowing one's neighbors to reporting any suspicious activities within one's immediate environment, this forum believes a salient responsibility of all Nigerians to national security and development. This gathering of professionals from different fields of endeavor and the traditional institution profile pragmatic solutions to these daunting challenges. The theme for this conference is Security and Development, our collective responsibility, and the message is clear.
No one should be complacent with security. We pick Ondo State because of the security in Ondo State. But just before the conference, we can all see what happened in our.
It's not our alone. It's not Ondo State alone.
We cannot just close our eyes, fold our arms and feel, oh, government should do something. It mustn't be government.
Discussants identified proliferation of arms, secessionist threats, corruption and food security as factors responsible for rising cases of insecurity in Nigeria. In Akure, Doris Olumoko, NTA News.
And that's it from Benin. The news continues in Abuja right after this break.
Welcome back. Next, some sporting stories.
30 cyclists, comprising male and female in 4 categories, are looking to be selected at the end of a 4-day national trial for the African Track Championship, scheduled to hold at the Velodrome of the Moshood Abiola National Stadium from July 14 to 17.
A lot of talents were discovered, most especially in the junior. And if we continue and with more competition in track and road, I think Nigeria will be a name in African cycling.
In the meantime, ahead of the second Super Eagles game of the 2023 African Cup of Nations qualifiers against Sao Tome and Principe, sports analysts have called on the team to continue working hard to be a better side, adding that the Super Eagles should not underestimate any country as there are no underdogs in football.
I want to see a Super Eagles team that will be more comfortable against Sao Tome and give us a convincing win, something that the Super Eagles fans can hold on to.
We'll be looking forward to seeing Super Eagles once again scoring more than 2, 3, 4 goals to be able to climb to the top of the table.
Super Eagles of Nigeria on Thursday won their opening Group A game against the Lone Stars of Sierra Leone and are looking to make a second win as they go against Sao Tome, who lost their first game to Guinea-Bissau 5-1. Tunisia enjoyed a 2-0 win over Chile, but Ghana were thrashed 4-1 by host Japan in the Kirin Cup friendly tournament on Friday. All 4 sides are using the event to prepare for the World Cup, which kicks off in Qatar in November. The results mean that Tunisia will play Japan in the final, while Ghana take on Chile in the third-place playoff game, with both matches being played on Tuesday. With the sports update, Cynthia Ogun, NTA News.
Thank you, Cynthia, for the updates. President Muhammad Buhari mourns the demise of the longest-serving Zamfara monarch, Emir of Kotokwashi in Bungudu local government area of the state, Alhaji Hamid Umar, describing the death as a void that cannot be filled. In a statement, President Buhari says the 61 years of the deceased on the throne had witnessed the growth and development of his community. President Buhari prays for the repose of the soul of the deceased and urges the people of Kotokwashi in Zamfara state in general to bear the loss with fortitude. And before we go, a look at the weather picture for tomorrow.
Welcome to the weather forecast. We expect early morning thunderstorms over parts of the northwest, including parts of Adamawa, Niger, Kwara, and Kogi. Thunderstorms are also expected over parts of Anambra, Imo, Abia, Ogun, Lagos, Rivers, and Akwa Ibom. Progressing into the day, we have better prospect of thunderstorms over the southern cities and parts of Plateau, Nasarawa, FCT, and Benue, as well as parts of the northeast and the northwestern region. I leave you with the weather forecast across some selected cities. I'm Sefia Sayinusa. Thank you for watching.
And that ends the news. Thank you so much for your time. Do remember to always take action against rape and rapists. I'm Elizabeth Omori.